So, assalamu alaikum, everyone, again. Does anyone have anything to share regarding our homework from last time? Remember, last time we noted that Prophet Zechariah had this insight and courage to talk to God and share with him his deepest need. And we highlighted how our needs connect us to our Creator and that they are not a liability, they are actually opportunities. And as we embrace them, we also get to know our Creator through them. And so Prophet Zechariah, in a very exemplary way, shared his wish in his deep heart with the Creator, and was able to ask him, knowing that the one who gave him his need definitely has a response to that need. At the same time, when he was miraculously answered, he was startled, he was surprised. And that was our question. What is the wisdom in that, being surprised? If you're asking for an heir and then God sends angels to give you the good news that you are going to be granted, that you were hoping for, why are we so startled? Why is Prophet Zechariah the one who had the insight and the courage to turn to God? Why does he having this shock moment? Did anybody get a chance to reflect on that?
It's because we are like that?
It's because we are like that.
I also think it's because, like, you know that God listens to you, but it also, you still get surprised. Like, I guess you get surprised every time. Like, the scale of that God has, that you have witnessed, the scale of witnessing something happen in front of you is different than from witnessing it with other people. So when you witness it within yourself, it's like it's escalated. Like the feelings are escalated, are magnified. Mm-hmm. So you might witness Allah giving rizq to other people. You might witness Allah, timing things or listening or giving something very precious to someone who's been asking for it. But when it comes to you just get I think humbled, honored, and surprised, because maybe not the word surprised, but like overwhelmed, because then you realize this is you, it's happening to you. You're not witnessing with other people, it's happening to you.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective too. Just that in this case, Zechariah alayhi salam, peace be upon him, he asked for himself and he's getting for himself. I guess it also shows how human being is multifaceted, that we have a part in us that has the capacity to trust in that immense power of our Creator, and then there's a part in us that's still overwhelmed and can't process that, or is not ready or not open enough. Okay, these are some initial reflections, Sister Yamina. Now we turn to you, and inshallah, if you can lead us in tonight's session, and feel free to share with us if you have any questions along the way during this discourse. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. So we did stop, as Isra just reminded us, at ayah 8, I think it was, when Zechariah alayhi salam exclaims how can I have a son when my wife is barren and I have become utterly infirm through old age? I'm old, my wife is barren, how could this happen? And of course, we know at the beginning, he is the one who asked for it. And so to refresh our memories, I'll go back. We stopped last week at Ayah 8, but I'll go back to Ayah 5, where we told that Zakaria alayhi salam prays to God for an heir. So we told, now behold, I'm afraid, so it's Zakaria alayhi salam speaking to God, I'm afraid that my king's folk will do after me, what they will do after me, after I'm gone. For my wife has always been barren. Bestow then upon me out of your grace the gift of a successor, who will be my heir, as well as an heir to the house of Jacob, of Yaqub, and make him, O my Rabb, O my sustainer, well pleasing to you. Radiyan, waj'alhu Rabbi radiya. And so the answer is, O Zakaria, we bring to you the good news of a son whose name shall be Yahya. John, but we said Yahya has a meaning in Arabic, which means he will live a life living. Never have we given this name to anyone before him. And then Zakaria answers, O my Rabb, how can I have a son when my wife is barren and I have become utterly infirm through old age? قال ربي أن يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا. And we did pause there. So we want to pause again. Zakaria alayhi salam is a prophet of God. And it seems that as a prophet, he had to accept and be grateful that his prayer was, quote unquote, miraculously answered. In a way, it is miraculously in our terms. But now we want to really ask ourselves, is this really how it works? This is how we think it should be. But is this how it works? And in order to really be able to answer this question, we need to remind ourselves of what a prophet is. We have assumptions about what a prophet is. Often we take it for granted. And how would a prophet or the prophets, how would they be? How are they role models for us? How are they good examples, uswatan hasana, for us, if we could not relate to them, to their humanity? We talked about this in Surat Rad. So let us then remember who the messengers, the prophets of God are, and what their role as messengers, their functions as messengers is. And for what purpose does the Quran mention them to us? How are they role models? How are they uswa hasana? And we are told again and again in the Quran that they are good models for us, good examples. Like لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. So they are role models for whom? In the messenger of God, and we know in other passages in the Quran it's for all the prophets, in the messenger of God and in all the messengers. You have an excellent example for everyone who looks forward to God. Yarjullah, to more than look forward, is with hope, like, and the last day, and remembers God constantly. So if our goal is to fulfill our the purpose of our creation, then We want to meet God. We look forward to the last day, to the hereafter. And in order to do this, we keep remembering God all the time. Then who are we going to follow? The prophets. They are the best to emulate. In another passage in the Quran, we told قَدْ كَانَتْ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ فِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ. So you have a good example, an excellent example in Ibrahim alayhis salam and those who followed him. In them, indeed, you have an excellent example for everyone who looks forward to God, يرجو الله واليوم الآخر ومن يتولى فإن الله هو الغني الحميد. Who looks forward to God and the last day. And if you turn away, if you don't follow the path of the prophets, then God is self-sufficient. He doesn't need what you're doing. And all praise is due to him, whether you consciously give it to him or not. It's very, very important. Their role is very important because they are not role models for us to be good doctors, good engineers, actually, because at the end of the day, whatever we are doing, unless it becomes a means to ubudiyah, unless it becomes a means to find eternity, it remains temporary and transient, and therefore anything that is transient, however good it is, at the end of the day, it is useless and meaningless and purposeless. So it's very important that we find that path to eternity, that path to the hereafter, that path to God, which is the source of all goodness and all perfection that we so long for. And in order to be such good, excellent examples for us, the messengers are humans like us. And if you remember in Surat Al-Ra'd, we were told, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَذُرِّيَّةً وَمَا كَانَ لِرَسُولٍ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ بِآيَةٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ لِكُلِّ أَجَلٍ كِتَابٌ. So we sent messengers before you and gave them spouses and offspring, so they are just people like you. No messenger was able to bring a sign in the sense of miracle because they were asking for miracles, those who did not accept the prophets, except with God's permission. For everything, there is a time, a divine timing. So again and again, we are told that they are fully, truly, completely mortal human beings like all of us, which means that they are not endowed with some special qualities that we don't have. Their potential is human potential, and everyone, each one of us has that potential, which is great news. And so those who think that prophets are some superhuman or not human or above human or something like that, it's because they imagine them to be the source of whatever is sent through them. If a messenger is showing miracles, as the ayah is telling us, it is only by God's permission that he can, that miracles are worked through him onto him. But if I think that I'm the one, the doer in my life, I do things. So the messenger does perform the miracle himself. And so they asked the Prophet, ﷺ, what sort of messenger is this who eats food and walks in the markets? I mean, was there any messenger of God in history that did not eat food and walk in the markets? Why has not an angel been sent down onto him to act as a warner together with him? وقالوا ما لي هذا الرسول يأكل الطعام ويمشي في الأسواق لولا أنزل إليه ملك فيكون معه نذيرا. And in Surah Al-Isra, there is an answer to such a question. It says, whenever guidance, which means divine guidance, because there is only one guidance, came to them through a prophet, through a messenger. Nothing has ever kept people from believing in the messenger except this objection of theirs. What is the objection? Would God have sent a mere mortal human as his messenger? أَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ بَشَرًا رَسُولًا? Like, could he? As if it can't be. And the answer to this excuse from those who are unwilling to consider the possibility of God sending them guidance through a human being, it means it is sent through the prophet for everyone, but that means that it can be sent to every single human being as inspiration for himself. It means there is a path from God to human being. It means that we are connected. And why it seems far-fetched that they can't accept Basharan Rasula, a human messenger, because they live in the illusion that they are independent from their creator. So how can the creator communicate with me? Well, he's communicating all the time through the signs. All the creation is a divine communication. And because why are we unaware of our connectedness to our creator? Because we are not aware that we're dependent in everything, that our needs are being taken care of here and now, and that everything is transient, everything is impermanent, which means that everything has to be sustained. There is a need for sustaining. Everything is being sustained, everything is flowing from a permanent source. And the impermanence of everything points to that permanent source they are coming from. And the answer to this objection is that they are told, this is the answer is the following ayah that follows immediately. It says, say, if angels are walking about on earth as their natural abode, we would indeed have sent down unto them an angel out of heaven as our messenger. وَلَوْ كَانَ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَلَائِكَةٌ يَمْشُونَ مُطْمَئِنِّينَ لَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَلَكًا رَسُولًا. So being humans, the prophets are not born with the certainty of Iman. This is very important because we want to run away from the responsibility of using our potential, which is the greatest opportunity of our life. Why? How do we? The simple trick is we say that they are prophets. Yeah, but they are prophets, but they are human beings. They fulfilled their potential. That's why they are prophets. So instead of saying they are prophets, therefore nothing to do with me, they are prophets, they are humans, and they became prophets. It means good news for me. So the prophets are not born with the certainty of Iman. We see them all in the Quran, how they grow in their Iman, in their surrender, in their closeness to their Rabb, in their ubudiyah. So what they do, what we see in the Quran, the way they're described is they live up to their human potential. They use every event in their life as a means to surrender to their Rabb, as a means to get closer to Him. They are always ready to surrender. They are not fighting with God. They're not resisting what's happening to them. And it is from this aspect that they are excellent models for humanity. And it is the most important aspect because it is about fulfilling our potential as human, our purpose of creation. It is about finding the way to find the permanent within the impermanent, the infinite within the finite. So it's absolutely the most important thing we can do in life is follow the prophets of God and live with their surrender, learn from them. how they fulfill the purpose of their creation, how they live their ubudiyah. And again, we're told in the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ is told, say, قُل, I am but a mortal like you. قُل إِنَّمَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. I am just a human being, a mortal like all of you. It has been revealed to me, so he's not the one making it up, he's just a channel to the divine guidance. And he is the first one to follow that guidance. It has been revealed to me that your God is the one God. Go then straight towards him and seek his forgiveness, and woe unto those who commit shirk. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فاستقيموا إليه واستغفروه وويل للمشركين. Because shirk is forgetting about that path, straying from that path to eternity, to infinity, to permanence that we so long for, that we were created for. And we can consider, for instance, what comes to mind is the example of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who is also known as the father of Tawheed in the Islamic tradition. So he's looking for meaning and purpose. In the beginning, he starts from the beginning. He's looking for meaning and purpose in his life. And so when he realizes that he can't do it on his own and that he needs help, which means he feels the need for guidance, he's ready and he's ready to receive it because he surrenders, because he accepts his helplessness and neediness. Then God speaks to him. And we're told in the Quran, when the night overshadowed him, being Ibrahim alayhi salam, which is with its darkness, he beheld a star and he exclaimed, this is my Rabb, this is my sustainer. But when it went down, he said, La uhibbul afilin. I do not love things that that go down. Then, when he beheld the moon rising, he said, oh, this is my Rabb, this is my sustainer. But when it went down, he said, indeed, if my Rabb, if my sustainer does not guide me, I will most certainly become one of the people who go astray. So he feels that he has a sustainer, someone is taking care of his needs, and he's looking for his sustainer. So before he receives the guidance, the revelation, he doesn't know yet who his sustainer is. This is very important. So Ibrahim alayhi salam searched for his Rabb, and first he searched for celestial bodies because they looked great, big. And then he realized that this process is not going anywhere. He also realized that his way of questioning was not providing him with satisfactory answers to his existential concern. Why was he looking for his Rabb? He's concerned about his destiny. What will happen? Death can't be the end. Everything is so meaningful. The ultimate destiny of the people around him, of the meaning of life, the purpose of the world. So in the beginning, he thought that those celestial bodies were great, and so they could be his sustainer. That's why he started with, he beheld the sun rising. He says, this is my sustainer. This one is the greatest of all, because, the sun is light, life, food. It seems to be, we need it for so many things. But each time he understood that they were transient. And if something is impermanent and transient, it means that it itself needs to be sustained. And if it needs to be sustained, it cannot possibly be his sustainer. And so he refused them as gods and deities. And at the end, he was just perplexed. He couldn't find his way to the everlasting one, to his true Rabb. He couldn't find answer to his questions. Who am I? What are these beings? What are they doing? What's my relationship with them? Why are they passing away? But his quest for the infinite is what made him realize his situation, what made him aware of his utter helplessness. And that's why that journey was necessary. And so he understood that he needed help. He felt, he recognized and felt and acknowledged and accepted. So to acknowledge is not enough, because we do all acknowledge somehow, but sometimes we acknowledge it and we are angry and fight it. No, he surrendered, means he made peace with it. He accepted this is the situation. He saw his limitation, his vulnerability, and he started seeking help outside himself, outside the world, outside whatever he could see around him. And that's why he says, and he surrendered. Indeed, if my sustainer does not guide me, I will most certainly become one of the people who go astray, because his people did not surrender. So he was always open to questioning his assumptions, and he was a surrenderer. He was ready to surrender. كان حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. He turned away from all what is false, Hanif, and surrendered, Muslima. He surrendered himself unto God, and he was not a mushrik. He was not a mushrik. He did not commit shirk. Whenever he found out that it can't be God, he immediately left it. So there is this integrity, this authenticity, because he is in touch with his needs, his helplessness, his vulnerability. So again, prophets are humans who fulfilled their human potential. And that human potential is our purpose in life, which also we have been calling khilafa. They're being appointed as khalifa, knowing God and worshiping him alone. And in a sense, being a khalifa refers to human beings being conscious. We used the example of mirror, conscious mirrors to the divine names, living in the name of the divine, meaning not appropriating any quality to themselves, but all the time trying to remember God and give back the trust back to him. And it reminds us of a hadith that is mentioned both in Bukhari and Muslim, which is God created Adam fi suratihi, in his image or in his form. And usually it's been understood in the form of with the potential to know God with his divine names, and to therefore to see and seek the wajhullah, the aspect of God in the creation that looks to the divine names, which means to interact with everything as a sign from God, bearing messages from God, and to also live in his name, bismihi, which means become a conscious mirror to the divine names. And it is when this potential khilafa, the potential of humans is actualized, like in the case of the prophets, of the messengers, that human being regains that or attains that ahsan taqweem, which is in the Quran we told we created human in the best conformation, in the best form, fi ahsan taqweem. Except we told we created humans in the, but then then he can go also, potentially we can go very low, to the lowest of the low, except those إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات, those who believe and live accordingly. So back to Zakaria alayhi salam. Zakaria alayhi salam now is a prophet. Let's keep this in mind. He's a prophet of God. Here he's mentioned as a messenger. So he is not mentioned in the Quran just to entertain us. He was old, he didn't have a child, he wanted a child. Or here is the miracle. First, he's not asking for a child just for worldly enjoyment. He says specifically that he needs an heir to his position. He says, I'm afraid of my own people, what they'll do after I'm gone, and my wife is barren. So please grant me, out of your grace, a successor. And that successor, he says, a successor who would do what? يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب واجعله ربي رضيا. So this successor, let him be my heir as well, an heir to the house of Yaqub, which is a lineage of prophets and messengers, and make him, O my Rabb, well-pleasing to you, not to me. But when he was given the news of a son, O Zakaria, we bring you the good news of a son whose name shall be Yahya, John. Never have we given this name to anyone before him. Then what is his answer? He sounds surprised, and he repeats the fact that he was old and his wife was barren. And that's what was our question. He exclaims, O my Rabb, O my sustainer, how can I have a son when my wife has always been barren and I have become utterly infirm through old age? قال ربي أن يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا. So again here, now that we have in mind what a prophet, what a messenger is, and the purpose of the Quran in mentioning the messengers, meaning if it's mentioned in the Quran, it means it is for me to follow. You remember in the very beginning, it was about in the second ayah of Surat Maryam, it is ذِكْرُ رَحْمَةِ رَبِّكَ عَبْدَهُ زَكَرِيَّا. It is a remembrance, a reminder of your sustainer, meaning our sustainer, whoever is reading, the audience sustainer, Rahmah. So all this is told to us to teach us something about our Rabb. So as through whatever Zakaria alayhi salam experienced. So if I cannot follow what's happening with him, if he's not a human being that I can relate to, then I won't be able to get the message. There will be no message for me. So here we witness Zakaria alayhi salam's humanness, his being human. He still is thinking in terms of causes. Old age, barren wife means usually when we just see a couple, old plus they never had children before. Do we expect them to have children? No. But is this an immutable, unchangeable rule? Stop and it seems like this is the rule. This is how it always has been. But is it an immutable rule? Can we say just because so far what we've seen and observed and witnessed is that it has been always like this, does it mean that tomorrow this will be again the case? It seems so, but when we question it, there is nothing to make it so tomorrow. It can change anytime. Why? Because the rule cannot create. The rule does not have power. The rule is a description of what's going on. The rule is an expression of a pattern of creation that so far I have observed in my experience in life. But my experience in life does not equate what is possible. All what is possible. It's limited with what I saw and how I have seen it, how I perceived it. So it's only when we say this is the rule, this is the law, it's a pattern of creation only. It doesn't have power, it doesn't create. Sorry?
And Sister Yamina, maybe it would maybe helpful to make a distinction at this point. When we say that there is no reason for it to be, let's say the sun rises every day and there is no guarantee that it will rise tomorrow, this isn't in the sense that let's not expect it to not rise tomorrow or give it a 50-50 chance. Inshallah, it will rise tomorrow, because there is a consistency, there is an order in this universe. And in one way, we are completely, it's completely normal for us to expect the sun to rise tomorrow at that very minute that we have calculated. It's just what the verse here is trying to, the verse is inviting us to think is to not turn this order into self-sufficiency, as if it's happening by itself. And just because it happened so far, it has to happen that way. Actually, logically, it doesn't have to. And it really presses us to look beyond, not beyond, but look behind the order. Like, how come this is so consistent? And not make it a shortcut. It's consistent, that's how it has to be. And things happen by themselves, right? In the case of Zakaria alayhi salam, the problem is not to be surprised that the very old couple is having a child, but to think that the couple makes it a child. That to think that a healthy, fertile, quote unquote, young couple, or a fertile couple, when they have a child, that they are the makers of the child. That's the danger. And that's what the surah is challenging us and inviting us to rethink through Zakaria, and then later on in the surah with Maryam, Mary, and her experience. So I just want to highlight that, it's not about not expecting.
Thank you for the highlights, but I want to add a little bit of some emphasis.
Sure.
One day, it will be the doomsday, and we're told in the Quran that the sun won't rise as we know now. But because it's far, we're not concerned about that. What we are concerned about is my daily, for instance, routine. There are so many things that I take for granted. But then one day, it may snow in the summer and we are surprised. One day I wake up and I'm not healthy, and one day I wake up and I hear that a beloved friend is not in this life anymore. So I don't want to put too much emphasis on not expecting the sun, expecting it bi-idhnillah only. I want to make the emphasis on putting our faith again in the Rabb, the sustainer of the order, not again in the order itself. Like, I felt almost like there was a fear, like, okay, don't worry, tomorrow the sun will rise. Bi-idhnillah. Can you be sure that the sun will rise tomorrow? What if it's Qiyamah? We hope, Bi-idhnillah, inshallah. That's what inshallah really needs to mean it. We need to mean it. But our concern usually in our daily life is not about the sun rising. But I take it for granted that tomorrow I'll wake up and I will be alive. But one day I will leave this world. If I always wake up with that expectation, I will never be ready for the next world. Mm-hmm. I have to never take it for granted. Otherwise, I will say it as knowledge, but it won't dawn on me. I won't feel it in my heart. I will only feel the transience of everything. When I feel the transience of everything, I can feel the sustainership, the rububiyyah right now. And when I feel the rububiyyah, then that fear of maybe tomorrow I won't be here will start transforming into hope and into looking forward to those ayat. What were they saying? Looking forward, yarjullah, looking forward to God and the hereafter. How can I look forward to the hereafter if I am again and again saying, don't worry, tomorrow the sun will rise. It means tomorrow you will be alive. I don't care if the sun rises tomorrow if I'm not alive anyways. That's no one's true concern. Our true concern is, will I be here? And we make all our, we organize our life as if I know I'll be here tomorrow, next year. It doesn't mean, here I agree. It doesn't mean that we won't organize things, that we won't get ready for it. But get it ready because right now, this is what I need to do. Not because I am sure or I know tomorrow I will be here. Because no one knows if tomorrow the sun will rise. There is nothing in this order that tells us that the sun will rise tomorrow. However, there is everything in this order that indicates, it's a sign that indicates that someone who is generous, compassionate, powerful, knowledgeable, knowing all our needs, is sustaining this order. That gives us that peace of mind, yatma'inna qalbi. That itmi'nan, that the sun may not rise, but my Rabb is all compassionate. So that compassion, that generosity, that goodness that we need, not the sun itself, is always there. That's what we need. But when we are not, when we don't move from the order to the sustainer of the order, then of course I am scared that the sun won't rise, because if the sun doesn't rise, it means lots of bad things. As if the sun, that's where the shirk starts. As if the sun is the source of the goodness that is coming with it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you said, Isra, so here, the fact that Zakaria alayhi salam is again mentioning his old age and his wife being barren, it is a moment to remember again that every single thing, every single event occurs bi'idhnillah. And so a woman who we call fertile, a woman bears a child not because she's fertile, but because God decreed her to have a child. And after she has a child, we say she is fertile. She can be healthy, she can be young, everything, but she still may not have a child, and no one can do anything about it. And so if she doesn't have a child, she doesn't have a child because she is fertile. We call her fertile because she was given a child. So we have to be careful about our way of perceiving things and getting stuck in what we see and never seeing them as signs, as ayat to the rububiyyah. And the answer to Zakaria alayhi salam is, thus it is, قال كذلك قال ربك. The answer is, thus it is, your Rabb, your sustainer says, this is easy for me, even as I have created you before out of nothing. قال ربك هو علي هين وقد خلقتك من قبل ولم تك شيئا. He says, this is very easy for me. Can't you see I have created you before when you were nothing? And of course it reminds us of kun fayakun. إنما قولنا لشيء إذا أردناه ونقول له كن فيكون. Whenever we will anything to be, we just say unto it, be, and it is. And it is when we see the rububiyyah reflected in the order in creation that we start seeing be and it is, and how easily everything is coming into existence. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah. So Zakariya's alayhi salam lack of full certainty is nothing wrong with it. It's nothing wrong. It's the other way around. It's actually what constitutes the lesson. That's what makes him an excellent model for me. That's where human being starts. Ibrahim alayhi salam started by looking at the moon and the sun as his Rabb. That's how he found his Rabb, and that's why he found his Rabb and became a muwahhid, someone who believed in God alone with no shirk, because he went through the process. And so Zakaria alayhi salam here, his lack of full certainty, he's asking, but as soon as the news of his son comes, he brings again the old age and his wife being old and barren. That's very human. And it is an opportunity for me to learn, what do I do in that situation? It's part of the growth of his faith. It's part of the journey to getting to know his Rabb better. And so how is he a role model for me? Zakaria alayhi salam, he makes this situation, he makes his not being totally certain a means to seek more certainty. It's like hunger. If you're hungry, it's not bad. But if you start complaining, I'm hungry, I'm a victim, people are rich, they are full, no one is helping me, or sometimes people are not even hungry. They look at hungry people and say, what kind of God is this that I am feeling compassion for the hungry and he is not? Where did you get your compassion from? If there is a creator, he's your creator together with your sense of compassion. So why are you using it to condemn him instead of using it to know him? He gave you that compassion to go and do something about it as much as you can. And so here, he makes it a means to seek more certainty. How? Like, why? Because he trusts. He trusts that if he's not certain, it's because of something in himself, not out there. There's nothing wrong with the creation or with what his Rabb is creating or giving to him. And we know, because if he's been all this time without a child, without an heir, and it means he's a surrenderer, he's a trusting person. That's why he is a prophet. He trusts. And so he knows that it's something to do with him, not with what's going on out there. He's a surrenderer, he's a Muslim. And what does he do? He asks for a sign from his Rabb. He asks for help. قال رب اجعل لي آية قال آيتك ألا تكلم الناس 3 ليال سوية. So he prays, Zakaria alayhi salam prayed, oh my Rabb, appoint a sign for me. And then he is told, this is the sign. We'll talk about the nature of the sign and how this sign is going to, the wisdom in the sign being silence, next week inshallah. But here it reminds us, he's asking for a sign, reminds us again of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asks his Rabb, he says, oh my Rabb, show me how you give life to the dead. And so God answers him have you no faith? Ibrahim alayhi salam answers, yes, I do, but I'm asking for this so that my heart may be fully at rest, fully satisfied. إذ قال إبراهيم ربي أريني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي. So why are you asking? ليطمئن قلبي. So my heart is fully at peace, because it's one thing to have faith, but there are degrees in faith. There is a faith with the certainty of seeing and feeling and living it. And that's what he wants. So you see, they are being an excellent example for us, how to grow in your faith, how to be a better and better surrenderer, trust better and better, get closer and closer to his Rabb, know him better and better. Now, I want to point to something. In Surat Maryam, in this surah, we saw that in the 5th ayah, Zakaria alayhi salam asks God for an heir in general, and he does the same in Surah Al-Anbiya. وَزَكَرِيَّا إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ رَبِّي لَا تَذَرْنِي فَرْدًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْوَارِثِينَ. And Zakaria, when he cried or called unto his Rabb, his sustainer, oh my sustainer, leave me not alone, but grant me وَلَا تَذَرْنِي فَرْدًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْوَارِثِينَ, because you are do not leave me on my own, because you are the best of inheritors. So, subhanAllah, even when you are asking for an heir, you say you are the best of inheritors. He doesn't want to be the inherited himself. He's doing it in his... However, in each case, he is asking for an heir. But in Surat Al-An'am, which is the 3rd chapter in the Quran, Zakaria alayhi salam actually asks specifically for a child. He does ask for ذُرِّيَّةً طَيِّبَةً, for a good offspring. The context there is very interesting. In Surah Al-An'am, we told that whenever Zakaria alayhi salam visited Maryam alayhi salam in the sanctuary, in the temple, in the mihrab, he found her provided with food, with rizq actually. وَجَدَ عِنْدَهَا رِزْقًا, which means, okay, how do we say rizq? Sustenance. And he would ask, oh Mary, where came this? Where did this came from to you? And she would answer, it is from God. Behold, God grants sustenance unto whom he wills, beyond all reckoning, beyond any هو من عند الله إن الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب, like abundantly. And so it is right after this ayah, we are told, then and there, in the same time, same place, then and there, هنالك, Zakaria prayed unto his Rabb, saying, oh my Rabb, grant me out of your grace the gift of a good offspring, for you indeed hear all prayers. It's interesting that after witnessing Maryam's miracles, Zakaria asks specifically for a child, whereas in the other 2 places in the Quran, when he asked in general for an heir, but here he asks for a child. It seems like because he witnessed the miracles of Maryam alayhi salam, he's more hopeful, he's more trusting. Yet, when he receives the news of a not only of a son, but a prophet's son. This is like great news. This is exactly what he wanted. He wanted an heir to his position. His response is still, how can it be? Or like, he still says, I'm old, my wife is barren. The same, he says exactly the same thing. How can I have a son when I'm so old and my wife is barren? And then the answer is, this is, thus it is, God does whatever he wills, which means it's easy unto God. And again, he asks for a sign. And he is again given the sign, and the sign is not to speak for, we told 3 nights in Surat Maryam, 3 days in Surat Al-An'am, which time-wise is the same, because if you go through 3 days, you go through 3 nights. But the silence is described in Surat Al-An'am, how he is going to communicate to people. The sign is that he's not going to talk to people. And so we want, inshallah, next week to dwell on the wisdom in the silence, in the sign, which is the silence that he is given. And just to give you a clue of what some of the things I have in mind is something that actually in the very beginning Isra said, because he knew that the need is from God, then he asks God. But from this asking from the sign, it seems that he may know, because as we keep saying, knowing and believing with certainty, with yaqeen, are different stages. And the prophet doesn't stop at knowing. He doesn't stop at just believing. He wants to have that full yaqeen. That's why they are examples for us in the journey of ubudiyah, in the journey of fulfilling our potential, human potential. Because if they were always described at the very end, when they found everything, and we were never told how they came to that state of being, then I wouldn't know how to follow them. So it seems like from the beginning, he doesn't have the certainty that the need is also given. It seems because as human beings, when we do not dwell on it, it seems like I am the one who has a need, and I am bowing and prostrating before my Rabb. The need is mine, the answer is yours. And it's okay, first step, of course, that's how it starts. But when I pray this way, it is still a prayer. But can I be, when I'm told, if I'm told, as he's told, okay, your prayer is answered, I cannot have full certainty that it is fulfilled. Once the divine word is pronounced, that's it. It's a decree, and it is as if it's done. I cannot have that full certainty. In order to have that full certainty, I have to first fully be certain that the need is also given to me. The need is not mine. Well, it's mine, of course, it's my need, but I am given the need. I am inspired I'm being made aware of my need. How did he feel that he needed an heir? He was made aware of that need, so the need is also given. When we connect with the need being given, then the need becomes a sign itself, a sign to the giver. And then it becomes like, as Imam Abdir Zaman Said Nursi says, the need itself is the warranty that says that he is the giver, therefore he will take care of this need. And he says, how would you translate that, Isra? Vermek istemeseydi, istemeyi vermezdi.
If he didn't want to give, he wouldn't have given the want.
Yeah, so if he gave us the want, the desire, the need for something, it means it's the harbinger, to what's coming. Because if I'm not aware of the need being given to me as a sign, I may even, we talked about it last week, when my need is answered, I can just say, oh, it just happened, very good. If I'm a believer, I say Alhamdulillah and I am grateful, but after a while, as it says in the Quran, you forget and again start giving it to yourself and causes, which means going towards the shirk way. But when the need itself is from God, I'm aware of that, I'm certain about that, I look at it and where did it come from, and truly listen to myself, then I see that it is a sign and it speaks to me and it says that whoever gave you this, he is the giver. And so it becomes not only a sign to the giver, but a sign that the giver gives. He gave you the need so that when the need is being taken care of, it's being answered, we know that it is from the same giver. He gave me the stomach, he gave me hunger, and then when food comes, I know that it's from him because they fit totally well. And the sign is the relationship between the hunger and the food. It's not food on its own, because food is only food because I have a need for it. And we will see how silence is from one perspective. Of course, all these things can have many, many different meanings as well. But from one perspective, silence is an opportunity to listen to ourselves, to our inner needs. And there are other wisdoms and meanings in it. But one of them is to get in touch and connect with the need itself. And also to connect with, when I'm in silence, I realize that I am not the doer. I am not the doer. Because it seems like I am serving the people, and now I am old, I'm leaving. Who is going to replace me? Yes, but just a second, you were there, I was put here. I'm not doing it myself. I was given the opportunity to be here. And the fact that I am worried about who is going to come after me and take care of this position is whoever brought me here will bring someone else. When I get in touch with that reality, that I'm not the doer, it's done unto me, that it's not me, the desire is not from me, it's given unto me, then it becomes very easy to have that trust and certainty and yaqeen that truly he will truly take care of everything. Actually, he is only giving me the need to witness his creativity, his rububiyyah, his generosity, his being taking care of everything. Not for me to worry and get, in that anxious state, what's going to happen? As if I am the one taking the burden of this community, as Zakaria al-Salam is. And it's so beautiful that you see these prophets who are totally human, but how they deal with it, how they deal in total surrender. And they become such beautiful examples for us. And it gives so much hope. It's so much easier because we think I shouldn't doubt anything. No. Doubt, if we didn't have doubt, we would never want more. It's like having no doubt, it's like someone saying I should never be hungry. No, if you didn't have hunger, you would never appreciate the food and be grateful for it. But you can take hunger and start getting angry. Why am I hungry? Or say, oh, I doubt, therefore I don't believe. I don't think. But you can see how all those human emotions and states and thoughts and states of being are totally human, and they are all opportunities and means to grow in faith and grow closer to our Rabb.
And I think, Sister Yamina, if I can add here,
Sure.
Growth is a key word here, because what is exemplary here is Zakaria alayhi salam has that surprise, has that doubt even, but it isn't, the way he's dealing with it is not to go back on his steps. He has seen other signs of God before. He's aware that his Rabb takes care of him.
Not to object, but
yeah,
the other way around. He says, oh, okay, how can I surrender? Give me a sign, help me. Make it easy for me.
Yeah, so that doubt opens, it becomes a stepping stone to the next level.
Exactly.
And we can learn from that, because he can have doubts like we do, but we have a choice. We can actually make it an excuse to go backwards, which doesn't make sense, because we have seen many signs. Why should we pretend we haven't seen them just because right now we have a moment of difficulty?
Yeah. We don't make it usually an excuse to deny. We make it an excuse to go back to ghafla. And we do this all the time. And but can you see how foolish we are when we do that? Look how easy it is. Why? Because there is part of us that says, oh, it's very difficult, as though they never have doubt. They always find themselves directly into that state of certainty. No, they don't deal with doubt the way I deal with it. So it makes it, oh, can you see the rahmah? Can you see the ease in following the prophets? Can you see why the Quran is telling, we're told in the Quran about the stories of these prophets, how they acted in surrender, how they used every opportunity to get back to that state of surrender, and they make it into a means to grow further in their faith and certainty. It's just so beautiful. It's the best thing that I was like, when I read this again and again, it was subhanallah, mashallah. Such beautiful examples, alhamdulillah. And it makes it so easy, because it's okay to be human. Don't make being human and our what seems like they are weaknesses, but those weaknesses is, as we talked last week, are they are our asset. They are what makes us abd. They are what makes us seek our Rabb and get to know him. So let's not make them excuses to get back to ghafla, but means to grow in our faith and turn back to God and seek and surrender and seek his help and seek more guidance. When he is asking for the sign, he is asking for more guidance. SubhanAllah. Isn't that so elegant, so beautiful? Alhamdulillah. Let's keep it here, and we'll talk inshallah next week about the wisdom in the signs that is given to him, and then carry on about the description of Yahya alayhi salam, and then inshallah it will be the story of I think it was Maryam that comes next.
Sister Yamina, I just had a question, but I don't know if I should ask this question. I was wondering, why would Zakaria alayhi salam wait so long, so basically the answer could be, like you mentioned in the other surah, where he was motivated by Maryam alayhi salam. So why?
But it's also, Sister Isma, it's also another sign that's telling us that he's not acting out of whim. Everyone has a son, let me have a son. No, he's listening to when the need is he's inspired with it, when he's inspired with the prayer, he's made aware of his need. He doesn't act on his, everyone, let us have a son. He doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's I always have this question in my mind. The other thing which is so fascinating about this Surah Maryam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is starting from the, trying to build up the argument that it is only human beings that they need, the varis or somebody to progeny and all that. And what a great start, for Isa alayhi salam. It will be a great hujjah that, when people say that Isa alayhi salam, they made him a, son of God, but this shows, the introduction shows that how it's a need of human being to have kids and to, pass it on their, whatever, moral or inheritance they want to pass it on. So it's a need of human being. And it's beautifully placed in the front.
The Prophet ﷺ didn't have a son. He didn't pass his inheritance to anyone.
No, I'm saying that this is a need, right? This discussion that we are having, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning.
It's not a need. We're not talking about the need for a son.
That's what he says, right?
He needs an heir. He needs
heir. Yeah, heir.
Position.
That's what I mean, heir, son, and he explains why he needs that. So that's a need of human being to have kids. And, so my point is this, that it's only human beings who have a need for son. And when the the Christians, they say that, Anauzubillah, God has a son, so that negates this point, because it's only human beings who need son, not Anauzubillah. I don't know if it's making sense. Because it's, in the discussion of having a son, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions so many points in the Quran. In one place, he mentions that how can he have a son when he doesn't have a wife, and all those rationale. Mm-hmm. So this could be another rationale that when they accuse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of having a son, and auzubillah, that it's only human beings who have this need.
I guess there are a number of things going on here. Definitely, there is some.
Someone else to talk, at least it looks like.
Looks like there are different points kind of, I think, brought together here. So there's reference to son, and it's the same word that's used, so one can recall the passages about son, but it's not really.
He uses son. Zakaria alayhi salam, even when he's asking for offspring, dhurriya, not a son.
So what's the difference?
Son or daughter. But I think the point here,
he's asking for offspring in one of the cases, and the answer is that he will have a son.
Oh, so zuriyat and son, I thought it's the same thing.
Okay, you're using son in a gender neutral way, I think, as a child. But basically, I think the main thing here is a bit different, because the passage is not saying only human beings and not God want an offspring. Of course, God doesn't want, he doesn't want or need an offspring, but I think
he doesn't want to need anything. So
he doesn't need anything anyway. So there is a common word used there, son or offspring, but I don't think it's directly connected to the story here.
No, what I'm saying, it's a hint to all humanity that it's only human beings who have a desire, and not when they say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a son. So it doesn't go with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is like him. So to compare that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a son like human beings.
Another way to look at this would be like, I like the connection between Zakaria and Maryam's story, and definitely in the way the surah is set up. It introduces Zakaria, and it really kind of stretches us to think more deeply about how we take things for granted and as if they're happening by themselves like that. And it really presses us, you know, who said that an old man can't have a child? Who said that this is not possible? If you can be made from a fluid, why not? Anything is possible. Whoever is making this can do anything. And that really prepares us to receive the next story, in which there isn't even a father in the picture. I mean, one of the parents is missing. Not as like two parents, but they seem too old. It's like there isn't even two parents in the second story. So in that sense, there's a connection. Maybe we can pause here, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair, everyone, for joining us tonight, and Jazakallah khair, Yamina, Sister Yamina, for leading us tonight. And let's reflect on the silence that Zakaria alayhi salam is asking for a sign, and his sign is hidden in that silence that he's gonna go through for 3 days. Inshallah, we will meet again next week, and inshallah we'll explore more. Jazakumullah khair, everyone.
Thank you.
Please keep us
Jazakallah
in your
khair.
dua.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you.